So good morning and welcome to Java with Jerry. It is Wednesday, March 14th, 2018. And as always, we're coming to you live from Stadium Center, the penthouse suite of Stadium Center in the Platinum Triangle. Now, I had some viewers point out to me that if you're not in California or not in Orange County, you may not know what the Platinum Triangle or where Stadium Center is. And they said, you ought to give a location. So we are directly across the street from Anaheim Stadium, home of the Angels in Anaheim, home of Disney. That's where we're located. So those of you watching from other areas, I know my friends Pam and Steve Gooderham are watching from the suburbs of London. So hello, Steve and Pam, and all of you watching from wherever you are. Now you at least know where we're coming from. We're here every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. We hope you are joining us and seeing us live. And if not, you can always find us at orangesliced.com. That's where you can catch all the past shows if you missed this one. Or you can also sign up and get onto Podbean and iTunes and pick it up as a podcast. And then you can listen to it anytime that's convenient for you. There's lots of ways to enjoy Java with Jerry, and we hope that you join us and enjoy it every week. So what is happening this week? Our guest this week is going to be Theresa Harvey, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the North Orange County Chamber of Commerce. And we're going to ask Theresa about all things North Orange County and especially what the chamber is involved in. They are incredibly busy, and about the model that she's employed at that chamber, which is sort of unique. So we'll have fun with that. We'll have the news as always. And then our feature this week is You Can't Make This Stuff Up. It's a special edition of You Can't Make This Stuff Up, so you don't want to miss it. So this is going to be a good show. If I can get my fingers to work, we'll move to the news, and we'll start with the national news. And of course, all of you know that this week, President Trump fired Rex Tillerson, sent him on his way. Not a big shock to anyone that's been following what's been going on nationally. There's been a really tense relationship between Mr. Tillerson and Mr. Trump for a long time. They disagree on a lot of things: Iran, North Korea, the relationship that we have with our European allies, and it's always been sort of tense between them. And we knew this was coming. So he named Mike Pompeo, who is currently the director of the CIA, to take Tillerson's spot as Secretary of State, pending confirmation from the Senate, of course. And then he named Gina Haspel, who is the Deputy Director of the CIA, to the post that Mr. Pompeo has. So she would, if she is confirmed, be the first woman to lead the CIA. So we're going to have a woman spy, and that's a good thing. She's got, I think, decades of experience as one of our top intel people at the CIA. So good luck, Gina. Be nice to have a woman at the helm. In state news, a California town was named the happiest place in America. That's right. They actually have a survey for that. Wallet Hub has released its list of the happiest cities in America, and several Southland towns also made the cut. The list is based on factors like emotional and physical well-being, income, and even sports participation. So coming in number one is Fremont, California in the Bay Area. Number two went to Bismarck, North Dakota. Sounds cold up there. Followed by San Jose, California, Pearl City, Iowa, Pearl City, Hawaii, and Plano, Texas. They round out the top five. According to the list, though, Irvine is the happiest Southland city, so congratulations, Irvine. Santa Clarita, and they came in at number 8. Santa Clarita was number 16, Huntington Beach was number 9, and Glendale was number 17. LA, you came in 75 out of 182. Not so happy, LA. And the last place, number 182 out of 182, goes to Detroit, Michigan. No surprise there, especially to anyone living in Detroit, Michigan. So there you go. Happiest city in America, Fremont, California. Congratulations, all you Fremonters. Local news, next Monday, March 19th, will be St. Joseph's Day. That probably doesn't mean much to many of you who don't live in South County, but if you live in San Juan Capistrano, that means the Swallows are coming back. That's the day we celebrate the return of the Swallows, and you can go down to the Mission and have a lot of fun down there. They'll have music and food and mariachis, and you can even catch a rendition, I think, sung live of the 1940s hit tune When the Swallows Come Back to Capistrano, which was a big hit in the 40s, and it made San Juan very famous. So congratulations, San Juan Capistrano, and I hope your birds come back. Sports. So it's March Madness. I might as well get this out of the way. All of you are going to be expecting me to say something. First of all, for the first time in my memory, UCLA had to try to play into the tournament. They had to try to play in. And I say had to try because last night they choked in the biggest way you can imagine. 20 turnovers. Our guys didn't show up. We've got all these trees that were never in the paint. It was horrible. It was a horrible thing. USC was shunned. They were completely cut out, as was Notre Dame. Like, come on, committee. What are you doing? No respect. But we do have something to root for, and it's our guest's alma mater, too. So a happenstance, not just pure happenstance, but Cal State Fullerton Titans, go Titans, they're in the dance. So we're rooting for you, Titans. You got to bring it home for us. So that's the news. Now let's bring in today's guest, a CSU alum. And Theresa, while you come into the shot and take your seat and get comfortable, I'm going to tell a little bit about our guest to all of you who may not know Theresa Harvey. Welcome, my friend. Good to have you here. Whoops. Oh, I just spilled. Good thing. I've got something to clean that up. Don't worry about it. How is that possible? I'll catch it. Don't worry about it. There we go. So, Theresa Harvey is serving as president of the North Orange County Chamber, and she's been doing that since, can you believe what I did? Since 2005. And she's helped develop that organization's programs, and she's creating a strong local economy, and she has done a lot to increase the association's membership model. We're going to talk about all of that and how the North Orange County Chamber is really a model. It's very different from everybody else. So she's a 1981 graduate of Cal State Fullerton, as I told you, with degrees in both music education and communications and public relations. Kind of an interesting combination. We'll ask you about that. She joined 54 fellow graduates in 2017 and was honored on the Department of Communications Wall of Fame. So there you are. We have a Wall of Famer here. She has also served twice as president of the Alumni Association. He currently serves on the executive committee of the university's Auxiliary Services Corporation Board and a number of other committees. All of you at Cal State who serve with Theresa, don't forget to mention my committee. I'm sorry, I've only got a 25-minute show. She's very active. In 2015, Theresa was named by YWCA of North Orange County as Businesswoman of the Year. She's been named as California's 65th Assembly District Woman of the Year. She's been honored by the California Women's Leadership Association in 2015 as a woman to watch, and she certainly is that. She currently serves on the board of the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives, and she is one of the best. And she is one of 8 children, a local California product that lived in Fullerton for many, many years. 7 of those children were all girls, and they were all raised to be independent thinkers and stand up for what they believe and take responsibility for their destiny. And you have done all of that. And interestingly, I understand all of your siblings all have degrees. So every one of you took control of your destiny.
That's absolutely true.
Big education fan. So now I've cleaned up my mess, Theresa. I'm sorry to have spilled as you're coming on. I got all fumbled up here in our very tight set. Let's talk a little bit about North Orange County Chamber of Commerce. I want you to share, I know what it is, but I want you to share with our listeners and those who are watching today, what's the North Orange County Chamber about, and how is it different as a model for chambers?
Sure. North Orange County Chamber was really a vision that our board saw quite a few years, about 5 years ago, where we said we can no longer be a chamber contained by walls and artificial borders from a municipality. So the Fullerton Chamber of Commerce at that time said, we're switching our name to the North Orange County Chamber and adopting a philosophy that business has no borders. So we started to grow and to look beyond ourselves without really expanding our footprint initially, but then we had another chamber that was struggling, came to us and said, will you honor the membership of our chamber, of our members? So we incorporated those into our organization and are now the only chamber in Fullerton, La Palma, Stanton, and Buena Park. But our membership really expands much beyond that.
It goes to other cities, yeah.
It does. We have members in most of the 9 cities across the North Orange County region, Los Angeles, even into San Diego and some of the other counties surrounding Orange.
Yeah, and they're all very active. And you do stuff in every one of those communities. Talk a little bit about the Wake Up program, because that's something that you do in a lot of places. It's a really interesting program.
Yeah, we kind of looked at our traditional networking program and realized that it needed a refresh. So we do Wake Up programs in Fullerton, in Buena Park, and in Stanton, where we engage with a city council member who has the business interest at heart. So in Buena Park, we interface with Mayor Virginia Vaughn. In Stanton, we interface with Rigoberto, and in Fullerton with Jennifer Fitzgerald. And we really have a conversation with our business owners and bring in guests from the police chief and city planners, people who are going to be able to explain to the business community how things operate within the city.
Yeah, and I've been to a couple of these, one in Buena Park and a couple of them in Stanton. And it's not just about having a presentation from the council members or having you there from the chamber. It's a real dialogue. I mean,
it's
you have a conversation. It
yeah.
really is an interesting thing that I don't think other people get. And it gives the business owners a chance to do more than network, but to actually have a conversation about things that are affecting their community.
Yeah, they get to know more than if you sell widgets or not, you get to know more about what the person is and how they believe and who you can call them when you have a problem.
Yeah, and how to solve mutual problems.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a lot of discussion about things that are going on in their community.
There's questions about zoning and how you get a business, and this was my challenge, and how do we cure that next time, and what's going on, and how are we going to improve the traffic in this street. And so a lot of things that are really diving into problems that exist.
So if you're in a North Orange County city and you have a chance to go to one of these wake-up events and you see it on your calendar, make sure that you go. And if you aren't seeing these, go to North Orange County Chamber. What's the website name so they can find it?
NOC for North Orange County Chamber.com.
And go sign up there to go attend these things. They're really well worth your time. Let's talk a little bit about the big things that you've done, though. You just had a conference for women. I want you to tell us a little bit about what went on there. And then I want you to talk about one that's upcoming that's really very interesting that's going to be happening.
Sure. And I'm going to kind of wind back a little bit. Our chamber adopted a strategic plan that has 4 initiatives. Inclusion, and the board was very careful to choose inclusion rather than diversity and inclusion because they're tired of dividing, they want to include. We are focusing on political advocacy and impact. We are focused on building strong cities, and we're focused on workforce development. So our women's conference that we just recently had, we had 6 speakers who presented TED Talk style presentations. We're going to call them she-style presentations.
Renaming them. Sorry, Ted.
Renaming them she-style presentations. And they were short talks that really were impactful, talking about issues of women's health, getting through surviving in a man's world. We had a contractor there, somebody that works in commercial construction. Yeah. We had a variety of people talking about how women can really empower themselves and make a difference in their communities.
Yeah, it's an important thing because there are more business women now leading enterprises, especially in Southern California, than there ever were before.
Absolutely.
There's a ton of you there.
And then, as you said, we have a new program coming up, and it's the State of North Orange County as told by the business community. We have traditionally done States of the Cities and a lot of events, but we really felt that the business community needs an opportunity to have a platform to talk about what was important to them. So we're having 4 great speakers come in, focusing on education and workforce development. And we have Dr. Cheryl Marshall, the Chancellor of the North Orange County Community College District, coming in and talking about what's going on and how we're training the next generation of employees.
And that's really the focus of the community colleges now, right? It's workforce development. I know they're still training transferees to come to the major 4 years as well, but they're really focused on trying to help people re-enter the workforce.
That's exactly correct. And whether it is technical training or articulation to the universities, they're looking to how they can really be impactful on the workforce.
But you're having more than the chancellor speak, so I cut you off.
That's all right. We all know the crisis of housing in Orange County, and we're having Stephanie Godel, who's the Chief Operating Officer at Century 21 Discovery, but she also sits on the Pac West Board of Realtors, and she's going to be talking about housing trends and how that's impacting our community and our workforce. Again, it all goes back to workforce. We have Brian Hellerman, who's the CEO of St. Jude Medical Center, talking about healthcare, managed health, the hospital, what it's doing with new trends there, and how, again, it's impacting the business community.
Really important topic.
It really is. And wrapping it up, we have Betty Porto of Porto's Bakery, one of our biggest and most thriving businesses in the region, opening more people. The only business I know that has 1,000 people clamoring to get inside, and Betty's going to talk about business growth and expansion.
Yeah, and they have a fabulous business. So if you haven't been to Porto's in Plano Park, you're missing it.
That's right. That's so that program will be on Friday the 13th of April at California State University Fullerton. Go Titans. In the TSU, it's a luncheon. So we're really looking forward to that being a great event.
Yeah, we're rooting for you, Titans. I hope you're watching wherever you are getting ready for your big show on the dance. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other initiatives, though, because you said there were 4 major ones, and you're working in all 4 of them, and you're doing something unique that other chambers don't do, and that you're putting a pack together. So talk a little bit about that engagement and what you're trying to do and what kind of impact you're trying to have.
Certainly. The PAC came about this past December. We formed NOC Impact, which is the PAC of the chamber, so that we can make a difference in local elections and follow local issues, and not only take positions and endorse, which we certainly did as a chamber, but now we can contribute financially to the success of candidates. It's so important for business-friendly candidates to be represented on city council boards and the board of supervisor in Orange County. We aren't playing in state or local or state or federal politics, but there's enough going on locally that really impacts every day-to-day business. Yeah. I say that we are not playing in state and local policies, but certainly from a chamber standpoint, we are very involved, and we're taking a delegation up to Sacramento in May to really have an opportunity to talk with the business community up there. We're partnering with Cal Chamber to make sure they know that our politicians, that we're listening to them and they better listen to us.
Sure. And I know you are engaged, Theresa, in the region. You've been incredibly active in more than just the North Orange County Chamber and talking on behalf of the business community. So I know you do stuff at the state and federal level with the Orange County Business Council and with others who are partners in the things that you do to impact public policy at the state and federal level. But it's really important, and I think it's an important focus to have local support for business, because that's where really the rubber meets the road. That's where your businesses are located. Yep. That's where issues like traffic congestion and whether or not you have quality education in your community, those things impact your workforce.
Well, every time a business is delayed in opening because of a regulation at City Hall or because an inspection didn't go right, it's dollars that are not going into that business and then in turn not going into our city, because our city survives on the business revenue that is in the communities.
And I don't think people also recognize that that's the way you attract employees, right? So if you've got a great education system and you've got great community life and your housing stock is good and your streets are well maintained, your parks are good, people want to move to your town, and that's where you're going to find your employees, so you don't have to have them commuting so far away.
That's right. We have a great university turning out students. I think they just graduated their 250th student last May. 250,000 student, not 250.
Which university would that be?
California State University, Fullerton, just to shout it out again for the Titans. But as they continue to graduate more people, we want to make sure that we're not exporting education, and that we can find jobs for these students locally. And I don't mean locally as only in one community, or they went to Cal State Fullerton, they can't leave Fullerton, but within Orange County. And we do have a thriving business community in Orange County, but we want to be able to keep the jobs here and not have them move to Texas or export them to another state.
Yeah, and it's very important. I have a couple of friends who teach on that campus, and I get to lecture there a couple times a year in their classes about public engagement, public affairs, and my life as an elected when I was in office, and so it gives me the opportunity to be engaged with those students, and they're incredibly bright. They ask really tough questions. They're really engaged, and we don't want to lose them, right? We don't want them going other places, so it's good to have them here. Let's talk a little bit about the engagement that you're doing, though, in the chamber for forums, because I know you have a congressional forum coming up for one of our races, which is really now a pitched race with a lot of people in it. Talk a little bit about what you guys are doing and when that is.
We do. We have some great programs coming up on March 29th.
Next Thursday, I think it is.
2 weeks Thursday.
Yeah,
anyway,
2 weeks away.
At the Fullerton Public Library, we have Rick Reef from the Orange County Business Journal moderating a panel of candidates for the 39th Congressional District. When Ed Royce announced he would no longer be running, it opened a floodgate of candidates wishing to fill his seat. Yeah. So we'll have 9 of them there that day.
Wow.
And it's a lot of people, but we want to be able to hear from the different candidates and begin to identify what their perspectives are and get to know those who are going to represent us in the 39th Congressional District.
Yeah, and that's open for all. So
absolutely.
Go again to northorangecountychamber.com.
NOCchamber.com. It's free to register for the event, but we do want to be able to anticipate the numbers of people that are going to be there. So register to attend, and we will look forward to seeing you there. It should be a great event, and you'll hear from more about what's going on in the 39th Congressional District than you probably wanted to hear.
And one of the races that'll be watched throughout the nation, because it's one of those critical districts that have been identified by the Democrats. They want to try to flip blue, and it's something that had a long-term serving congressman in it, Ed Royce, who is a great fan of business and was really supportive of the banking and business community.
And Royce is a Titan, so we can't forget that.
I didn't know he was a Titan, but we'll get that in as well. I want to talk a little bit about chambers, though, in general, not just about North Orange County Chamber, although you can use it as a model when you talk about what I'm about to ask. I know you sit as an executive on the board of the sort of think tank for associations in California. So talk a little bit about your role there and what you see as you look out across the horizon as coming for chambers. I know that businesses have been challenged in California. What do we have to look forward to?
Absolutely. I sit on the board of ACCE, which is the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives that represents Chamber of Commerce executives in the U.S. and Canada. So we've really taken an opportunity to look at some things on a global basis and where not only chambers, but associations in general are going. And the organization developed what they call the Horizon Initiative, and they looked at influences that are changing the way chambers of commerce operate. It's things like belonging and engagement, political and social interaction, communications, broad spectrum of activities. And this really gave our chamber an opportunity to pause and look at where it was going. How are we going to say we represent the business community if we have barriers for engagement with our chamber.
Yeah.
So by dropping the walls of municipalities, but also giving an opportunity for any business that wants to become engaged with our chamber to have an opportunity to do so. So we have an online membership available for anybody that opts in.
Is that right?
Absolutely. It has a limited benefits, but anybody can participate and say, I want to be a part of this chamber. I want to hear their communications and I want to see what they're doing. Then you can buy a la carte activities.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes in and we are able to monetize ourselves. We still have a number of businesses who want to engage with one another or to have a larger social media platform with us. Our members can put descriptions about their business. They can email their co-business people and colleagues around the chamber membership if they subscribe at higher levels.
Right.
But our chamber is really one that is more and more supported by our sponsors. And that list continues to grow. And we just struggle all the time without taking city contracts, large city contracts that really make us then a slave of the city. So we're very independent thinkers, and our board is very forward thinking.
Yeah, they are. And our clients of our firm are members of your chamber just because it's so innovative, and you ought to be as well because it really is at the cutting edge. So as you begin to implement some of this stuff in North Orange County, are you seeing membership swell not because of the changes you did?
Absolutely.
I mean, you should be going through the roof.
We really are growing. And I think a lot of it is because we are very transparent. We're very open. We have over 1,000 members now, and that number continues to grow.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, but what people realize is they don't have to show up at a meeting to be a part of our chamber and to get value from our chamber.
Yeah.
We are monitoring legislation. We are making sure that we are the voice of business in our region. And they're very happy not showing up. They're welcome to come to a wake up there. We have the mixer at the Muckenthaler coming up. We have the candidate forum coming up. We still have social interaction that people really feel they want to be a part of sitting in a chair, but they don't have to be.
Right. They can choose. It's that sort of a la carte choice of those things that are relevant to me that makes it good for entrepreneurs because they're also trying to keep their business going and they're very, very busy people. So
and keeping their business open has got to be the priority. And whatever we can do to support that effort behind the scenes, we're right there for.
Exactly right. Let's talk a little bit about what you expect to come out of the state of North Orange County. What is the state of North Orange County? Where do you see it now? Because I know there are a bunch of impacts on the business community as well as the communities there, and you've lived there for many, many years. So what do you see as the challenges?
I have lived here for a long time and have seen it grow and become more engaged in the operations of how the community really works. North Orange County is an aging infrastructure. I think all of the cities are challenged by the finances that we are required to continue to maintain our streets, our infrastructure, our sewers, and water lines. So the business community, however, are the ones that are paying for that.
Yeah.
So I think we'll talk a little bit about that. I think we'll have an opportunity to discuss the need for additional housing. As we all know, as housing prices go up in North Orange County, it limits the opportunities for young people to purchase homes. So are we providing enough rental space for them, opportunities for them to live differently? Because my children don't want to live as we live. They want to have different environments. So
and we're losing our millennials, so it's something we need to pay attention to because they're trying to go to other places to find,
Well, I don't want them moving too far away. So we're going to hear a little bit about that. I think that we're going to hear from Cheryl Marshall and really the changing face of education and how the community college is engaged more and more in workforce training. The mandate has come down, I think, from the state, and they're really seeing that as their role and how they're going to be engaging with that. Certainly, from the hospital perspective, with all the changes that are happening with the Affordable Care Act and the implementation of that, but then beyond that, into the social issues, how are we providing care for the poor, and what's the hospital's responsibility in that, and who's paying for it? Yeah,
a ton of information about really the fabric of the community that's all woven together through all these different
Absolutely,
threads,
and you can't have one without the other. They all support one another mutually.
And including the arts. So I don't want to leave an interview with Theresa Harvey without talking about the fact that you were a double major. Not only is she a communications and PR pro, and now obviously a business leader, but you got to school playing an instrument. So tell everybody how you got there and what you do, because you haven't stopped playing. You're still playing.
No, I haven't. I was telling Jerry earlier that Music was my ticket to school. I played bassoon. I received bassoon scholarships to go first to Chapman University.
I didn't even know there were bassoon scholarships.
Chapman University, and then I studied bassoon additionally at Cal State Fullerton. I play in a number of organizations locally, Fullerton Community Band, Golden West Pops, and Symphony Irvine. So it's just fun. It's kind of is my way to release myself, because you can't be focused about all the policy going on in the day if you have to follow the notes across the page.
So if somebody wants to catch you playing bassoon, what's your next gig?
A week from Tuesday at Kennedy High School for the Performing Arts, Fullerton Community Band is playing.
I don't know how you do all of this. So if those of you who really want to know more about it, you can call and get hold of Theresa. Give us the address one more time for the website for the chamber.
Website, nocchamber.com.
Please make sure you go there and get engaged if you can in some of these big programs that Theresa's talking about. Certainly you'll want to go to the Candidates Forum and hear the 9 candidates who are running for Congress to replace Ed Royce. And I suggest to you that you go to the state of North Orange County. I think you'll find with the kind of people that you've brought in, it's a different way of doing state of North Orange County. Generally, you have the supervisor come in, or you have the chief executive from the chamber do it. But now you're going to actually have business people talking to business people, and that's a great thing. I want you to hang, because we're going to do our feature, and then we'll wrap our show and give you a little bit of an insight. A little longer feature this week, but I told you it was a special one. It's you can't make this stuff up this week, and this week it's all about St. Patrick's Day, because after all, Saturday is St. Patrick's Day. So many of you know that I was educated by the Irish, spent 12 years in Catholic school before I was paroled, and I pay them back by talking about the Irish, and this is the perfect week to be talking about them. So all of you that are Irish, I apologize in advance. First of all, the one thing you do need to know about St. Patrick's Day is St. Patrick was an Italian. That's right. The Pope dispatched him to Ireland to try to convert the clannish heathen Celts and to bring them to the church. And so he's credited with driving the snakes off the island. That's what he's most known for. They say he went there to go drive the snakes out of an otherwise uninhabitable place. Truth is, historians have said there were probably never any snakes on the island, and he didn't drive them out at all. And they think it's a metaphor for having the Celts drop their many polytheist pagan gods, and they are represented by the snakes in the story. So maybe that's what the truth is. But since none of us were around in the 5th century, and we certainly weren't there, we don't know what the Irish were into, except that we know they probably drank prolifically, and they were good for a fist fight anytime you wanted to engage them in one. It's also little known, but true, that they're the origin of Halloween. That's right. Ireland is largely responsible for Halloween. And it's due largely, they say, to the Irish's preoccupation with the little people. Academics have concluded that the little people were originally the pagan gods of Ireland that lost their significance and metaphorically their stature. They became very diminutive when Christianity arrived. Despite their reduced state and retirement to the underworld as fairies, a memory of their magical powers held fast in the imagination of the Irish people. After all, they drank a lot. So here lies the origins of Halloween's dark side. There are 2 groups of fairies: the trooping fairies, who are mostly friendly and having healing powers, and then the solitary fairy, who causes mischief and is quick to anger. Among the specific terrors of Halloween were the Fomorians, who believe they have the right to take back their fair share of grains and or their share of fresh milk and live children. Live children, yikes. The leprechaun is the best known of the solitary fairies, and that fairy connected most to Halloween is Puka, who was decidedly malevolent and could assume any kind of shape. The banshee is another fairy, always a female, who would scream when there was approaching death by letting loose a terrible, eerie wail, the banshee's scream. It's guaranteed to send a shiver down your spine to those that hear it. And if you hear the cry of the banshee of Ireland, you should look, they say, for a funeral carriage pulled by a horse who is headless. All of this, it seems to me, explains the Irish and why they drink. It also explains why an angry Irish woman can scream loudly and has a fiery temper and it makes everybody shrink in fear. And it even explains to some degree how you can get an Irishman into a fist fight at the drop of a hat. All that said, and with acknowledgement that most of this is a payback to those who educated me, I will say you can't make this stuff up unless you're Irish, because they're full of blarney. Nonetheless, Aaron Gobra, happy St. Patrick's Day to all the Irish, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget to come back next Wednesday. Our guest next Wednesday on Java with Jerry will be Daryl Johnson, who's the CEO of OCTA. We'll be talking about all forms of transportation in the county, which he has responsibility for, with the exception of air travel. And we'll be talking about some of the exciting projects that OCTA has going on. You'll be surprised to know what they're doing, including the most significant project in the state in terms of transportation. So we want you back here then. As always, we want you to go to orangeslice.com, sign up for the podcast, or catch prior episodes and share with your friends that they can do the same. You can see us on Facebook. You can link up there to talk to us, and we want to hear from you. It's a dialogue after all. Thank you, Theresa, for being here. We'll have you back to talk some more about what's going on in North Orange County in a future episode. We hope you'll be back. And until next week, make good decisions. Have a good week. Enjoy St. Patrick's Day. And we'll see you next Wednesday on Java with Jerry.